Steve here with Half Dozen Customs. We're back out here in the shop this weekend, and we're going to work on something I've kind of been dreading for a while. If you remember a while back, we rebuilt the pump on my compressor, and after we rebuilt it, it was awesome. But it wasn't quite right. There was still something wrong with it. So there's like a blow-off valve that's inside the electronic box. It has the switch and the gauge and everything on it, and all the electronics are in there. There's a like pressure relief valve in there that if it builds up too much pressure, it'll blow that valve inside there first. And that valve has been leaking for years. And I actually had like a little washer in between it that stopped it from leaking for a while, and then it started leaking again. And I recently replaced that valve, and it fixed the leak 90%. Like, it went from leaking a lot to you had to put your ear up to hear it leaking. And then probably about a month ago, it started leaking worse than ever. Also, when it started doing that, it started spraying oil out of the breather valve. There's a like breather valve that where you put the oil in, there's a cap that you screw in there, and it's got a filter and a breather in there. And it helps relieve pressure from inside the pump. So it started blowing oil real bad out of there. And there's a piece that when I researched, there is like a check valve that is in between the line that goes from the pump to the tank. And there's a check valve in there. And when I researched it, it said if that check valve goes bad, it'll cause the pressure release valve to leak. So that makes sense why my pressure release valve was leaking to begin with, because that check valve was bad. So I ordered a check valve 6 months ago, and it came and it was the wrong part. But the pressure release valve came in, and that was the right part, so I replaced that one, and that fixed the majority of my leak. So out of sight, out of mind, I didn't have to listen to it leak anymore. But like I said, about a month ago, it started leaking worse than ever, so I ordered, hopefully, what I think is the correct check valve. So we need to replace that. I also ordered a new water trap. So the water trap that I put on here a few years ago, it's just an Amazon water trap. They're about 40 bucks. It's a nicer one than what you can get. You know, I spent 40 bucks, got the nicer one. Now they go way up from that. I mean, you can get them $200-300 bucks, but it wasn't a $10 one. You know, I spent the extra few bucks, got a nicer one. Everything that I've seen that's on Amazon, it's all auto drain now. And what auto drain is that when the compressor drops down below like 25 psi, that thing opens up and it drains the water trap. Well, the problem with me having it set up like that, I very rarely drain the tank empty. I drain the tank all the time to get the moisture out of the tank, but I usually open the valve on the bottom when it's done draining the moisture out, and I close the valve. So very seldom do I drain it all the way empty. Well, every so often I do drain it empty just so that I can drain that water trap. And the last time that I went to do that, which was a couple of months ago, it wouldn't drain. So I opened it up, it was full of oil and gunk and everything, because I think everything that's going on You know, I'm getting oil down into the tank because I think it's a check valve that's causing that, because it's causing back pressure into the pump, and forcing oil into places that it shouldn't be going. So I took it apart and I cleaned it, and I wasn't thinking everything's metal except for the float that's in there. That's plastic, and I hosed it out with brake cleaner. I do not suggest doing that because it then melted the float and then it was leaking. So I glued everything shut and put a nut and bolt through the whole thing to keep it closed. So I ordered a new one of those, and we're gonna put that on. And I ordered a ball valve to put in between the tank and the water trap, so that I can actually shut all the air pressure off to the water trap, and then that way it should drain. And I don't know who it was, but somebody had left a comment in the Amazon comment section on this water trap saying that that's what he did, and he suggests everybody else do it. So it makes sense. Excuse me. It makes sense to have that valve in between so that you can shut the air off and drain that valve. But now I can also shut off the air lines. You know, I don't always unplug the air lines. Sometimes I'm out here, I'm working, you know, I go inside, whatnot. I don't unplug the air lines. They're laying out here, they got tools going, they're leaking air. You know, and I go in the house, I come out, you know, and the tank's half empty because everything was leaking. So now I can just walk over and shut that valve off before I leave, and it shuts everything off, it drains the water trap, and we're good to go. So sorry for that whole conversation there, but you know, I'm just kind of explaining what we're planning on doing. Also, while I have all this apart, I'm gonna pull the pump back apart, and I'm gonna check. There is these valve seats that are on the top, that they're just a thin piece of metal, like razor blade thin, that when the piston goes up, a couple of them open up and let the air go into the tank, and then when the compressor's going back down, they, you know, 2 of them close and I think 2 of them open. I don't know, I could be wrong. There's 4 of them in there, but they open and close, and they're such thin metal that it's just the pressure that opens and closes them. And when we rebuilt the pump, those were gunked up and thick of just oil and dust and dirt and paint and whatever. And I have a feeling with everything that's going on, those are like that again. So we're gonna take that apart, we're gonna clean those, and make sure everything's good. And then I want to pull the head off, and I want to check the piston rings, because in the instructions when I rebuilt the pump, it said that to make sure that the opening in the ring, did you hear that whistle? That was a good whistle. The opening in the ring, you got to make sure are offset from each ring so that oil can't travel through those gaps in the rings. And with all the oil issues that I'm having at the moment, I just want to double check those. So we're going to take this entire compressor apart again, and we're going to go through it. We're going to replace some parts. We're going to check everything, clean everything, put it back together, and fingers crossed we're in good shape again. If not, I'm going to have to replace this pump, because I'm still, what it's doing, I can't have it doing, because it is spraying oil clear across the shop. You can see I put a piece of paper towel over that breather valve so that it stopped spraying oil all over what I'm working on. I can't have that happening. So, but here's the box of parts that we have. So this is the check valve that we need to replace. And this is what I've been dreading, because I tried to take this off the compressor and I couldn't get it off. We have our ball valve. I got a couple pipes. This is going to go between the tank and the ball valve. I grabbed a bigger one, thinking that that's what I needed, and then realized that was too big, so I went and grabbed a smaller one. And then we have our new thing there. So, and it looks like they changed. I'm gonna show you this real quick. So you can see this is all metal down here now, this thing. So that's what was plastic on the old one that melted when I cleaned it with brake cleaner. So it looks like they changed that and fixed that. So you can see this one's plastic down here. And I have a bolt in the bottom that goes all the way up into here that closes the whole system now so that it stopped leaking everywhere. But let me get this compressor pulled out from the wall. I drained all the air out of it. I got it all unplugged, ready to pull it out. We're gonna get it started tonight. I'm not expecting to finish it tonight. Hopefully we can finish it tomorrow. The last time that I pulled this compressor apart, we rebuilt the pump, and I was without a compressor. Well, I have my little 20-gallon. If you go back and watch the rebuild of the pump, I have my little 20-gallon compressor that I can bring over here if I need to. But I was without my big compressor for a week, so hopefully we don't have that this time. Hopefully we can get all this done in just a couple days here. So, but like I said, I've been dreading doing this. For one, I hate being without a compressor, and for two, that check valve, I tried to take it apart so that I could order the right part, and I couldn't get it apart. So, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna break something that is gonna shut us down. So, fingers crossed. Scooch you guys over a little bit. So, first thing we gotta do, we gotta reach through these little holes here, and we gotta undo this cage here. There's also some sheet metal screws that hold the bottom of that cage in that we gotta undo too. I had these things all nice and clean and painted, and man, they are just trashed. And it's from all the oil that's been spraying everywhere. Okay, so I think we're gonna start with that because it's the easy thing to do. But so this is that part. I'm hoping that is this guy. So this definitely looks bigger. This might not be the right part. Son of a gun. Crap. Well, now what? Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to the missus. I guess we'll see if we can get it pulled apart and see if I can order the right part. Now, I know I have something that we could make that all work, but then that copper tube is going to be way too tall. So crap. It's the second one I've ordered that's not right. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so I went in and I looked, and the correct one's right next to that one. So I was so close to having the right one accidentally. And it looks like if I order it right now, I could have it here January 2nd. But before I before I order it, I want to get this one off and make sure that I'm getting the right one, because there's two of them on there. One of them's just threaded on the top. One of them is threaded with like a pressure fitting. So I want to make sure I gotta get this one off. Gosh darn it. This part has just been a pain in my butt. But now it looks like I might be down. I might be down for the next week, which was what I was hoping to avoid. So I tried to get this off here the last time, and it was turning the whole pipe. So let's if it's turning the whole pipe this time. I've had this off because I had this one off up here because we had the whole pump off. So that one I know I can get off. So if I can't get this one to crack loose, we'll have to take that guy off so we can spin the whole thing around here. A couple times I've had this thing apart. I should have took pictures. Spinning, but it's spinning the whole thing. All right, let me go do some research and see what I can find. Darn it. I don't know how this thing works, but this thing down here is not, it's definitely not gummed up or stuck, so... Alright, we'll be back. Alright, so, you know, searching everything that I've found. So, I found this guy, but if you look, like, the way that it looks, and this thing is like spring loaded on the bottom, and everything that I'm finding looks like this. It's not spring loaded on the bottom, there's just a little hole there, and you know, it's similar but it's not the same. So I cannot find, so anything that I find that looks like this does not have the pressured fitting on the top. It has a flat top like this. So Colleen is in there researching. I gave her all the part numbers and everything, and she's searching, trying to see if she can find this exact piece, because I'm not finding it. Like I said, I'm finding something that looks like, you know, it looks like this, but with this bottom. Stupid compressor. So I guess for now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this up and see if I can find a part number for it. But I doubt that there's a part number on here. But I'm gonna clean it up and put it back, I guess, until that part gets here, because it doesn't look like it's going to be here anytime soon, and I need my compressor, broken or not. I'm not seeing any part numbers on it. There's something on the side here, but I don't... Looks like it says 403 or something. I don't know. I gotta go get my glasses because I can't see it. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, so I put that check valve back in there. You know, it don't look dirty. I mean, it was dirty, but nothing that would have made me think that it was not working because it was dirty. You know, on the bottom there's a little like spring-loaded valve thing in there that I would take it if there's too much pressure. You know, that opens up and lets air release. I don't know if that thing's supposed to be like super hard to push in, because it was really easy to push in. You know, I could just push it in with my pinky finger, you know, with no effort whatsoever. So I don't know anything about those. I just know the part that I ordered is wrong, and the part that I'm finding for this compressor, when I searched that part for this compressor, doesn't look like what I took out of there. Colleen's in there researching everything. I've given her part numbers and serial numbers and all types of stuff, and she's trying to see if she can find that exact part. So I put it back in, and for right now we're gonna change out this water trap and put that valve in. So let's go ahead and get that done. This compressor has just been a problem lately. You know, I'm not giving up on it. It's, you know, it's a super expensive compressor. It's a snap-on. And you know, it was over $5,000 new. I got it used, but I got it with like less than 100 hours on it. We're currently at 751 hours. I think we were at 6 something when we rebuilt the pump. So it doesn't have a whole lot of hours on it. But so I got it used, and then, you know, I ended up, it was at my dad's house, and I ended up moving out, and I couldn't take it with me, so it was at my dad's house for, you know, the last, it's a 99, I got it in like 2000, so, you know, it was at my dad's house for 20 years. So, you know, it's not that old. You know, my dad didn't use it all the time. It just kind of sat there, which I know is like the worst thing for things, and that's why, you know, I think I'm having problems now, because it just, you know, it sat for, you know, probably 16 years with, you know, only being used once or twice a year. And, you know, when I brought it back here, you know, it went from being used once or twice a year to being used every single day, you know, 4 or 5 hours a day, every day. So, and it's just been, you know, it's just been an issue. I really don't want to go get a new compressor. They're expensive. Lots of water in there. So, and if I end up going and getting a new compressor, I'm definitely not going to get a snap-on. I think that there are much better compressors out there nowadays than what this, you know, what you can get from Snap-on for cheaper. So I would like to, you know, I'm sure in the other video of me rebuilding the pump, I had talked about getting a new shed or whatnot on the property, and we did end up getting that, and we went, you know, we went from a shed that was only big enough to park my riding lawnmower in, and we went up to like a 1.5 car size garage. So I would really love to put this thing in there and then plumb it into here so that I don't have to listen to it run, and I don't have, you know, you guys don't have to hear it on camera and whatnot. But I'm kind of worried to, you know, put this thing in there because, you know, if something goes wrong with it, I'm not gonna know. Next thing is if I get the correct part check valve over there and we get that replaced and it still doesn't fix it, I'm putting a new pump on it. They're like $980 plus shipping, and we'll pick up another compressor off Marketplace or something that needs a new pump, and we'll put this pump on there, and that can go in Colleen's garage so that she can have her own air compressor because she does airbrushing and artsy stuff in her garage. And then I'll have a new pump on this guy, and then, you know, if everything's all good, we'll make a little unit out in the other garage here to put this in. Oh, that ain't gonna work. I tried to tape that for no reason. Forgot that we were putting this valve in there. I was putting it back together the way it was. My brain's not working. My mind's on that check valve. All right, and we got that up and going now. So I think that's good as long as it's not leaking anywhere. We'll be fine with that. It did push us out quite a bit farther now. I bet you guys didn't see anything that I did there. But, you know, it pushed us out, you know, the side, you know, this valve. So it's, you know, pushed us out like 6 inches, which is going to put us pretty close into our workbench there, but, now I think what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take a quick break here for a second, but I think I'm gonna pull this, the top of this head off, and we're gonna check what's going on inside this pump. So it's just, everything is just coated in oil from this thing spraying oil everywhere. You know, and there's only a couple things that could be going on. Like I said, the check valve being bad can cause this because it's allowing pressure from the tank to back up into the pump, pressurizing the pump then. Or just the pump's bad. So, like I said, we've already rebuilt the pump once, and it was definitely, you know, the reason I rebuilt the pump in the first place was because it wasn't pumping the air fast enough anymore. So, and before I rebuilt the pump, it was taking 20 minutes to fill an empty tank. After I rebuilt the pump, it was under 6 minutes. It was 5 something. A completely empty tank was filling up. Right now, we're at like 10 minutes. I checked it just like 2 weeks ago. I drained the tank. I checked to see what time it was. I kicked it on. I waited for it to shut off. It was just about 10 minutes. So, you know, so something's going on here. But let me get some tools together to pull this valve, top of this head off. You know, I don't know that we're gonna pull the whole pump off this time. I think I'm gonna try and do everything on the compressor, but we'll be back. All right, let's pull this apart. Didn't sound good. That didn't sound good. It did not make that noise the first time. Okay, pretty clean in there, but the valve area that pumps the air into here, there's a lot of oil in. So I cleaned and scrubbed this whole thing, you know, almost a year ago, and you can see that side is dirty and there's oil in it. So I am getting a lot of oil in the tank. Okay, so this is the side that we're getting a lot of the oil through. Inside here, you can see this side's pretty dirty too. So inside this thing comes apart, and there's valves. This thing comes apart, and there's these little valves that are inside here. That's what I wanted to look at. You know, I definitely see, you know, this one's got some buildup on it. But they don't look, you know, they don't look horrible. When I took this thing apart the first time, like, these things were like almost plugged shut. lot of oil on the top of the piston here. So you can see, you know, I mean, it's fresh oil on top there, and the other one has it as well. And he looks pretty gunked up. But, you know, the cylinder walls look good. I don't see any scoring or anything like that. We honed them. I honed them out when I had this thing all apart. And it got new piston rings put in on both those pistons. Now, the thing is that, you know, if you know what a piston ring looks like, it's, you know, it's a circle, but it has an opening on one end so that you can open it up and slide it over the piston and lock it in. And there's 3 of those rings in there on the big one, and I think there's 2 on the small one. And you have to make sure that those openings on the rings aren't lined up with each other, because otherwise oil will leak through. Now, my only way of finding out if that's what's going on here is to take the cylinder head off here. Take this cylinder head off and pull this cylinder head off. Which, you know, I think we're gonna do, because I've already got it this far, you know, we're gonna do it, but I don't think I'm gonna do it tonight. I think I might get a fresh start tomorrow. So I think that's where I'm gonna end this video. If I decide to go the next step, which is pull this cylinder head off, I'll kick you guys back on. Other than that, I'll see you tomorrow.